these are a great bunch of guys, and this is a truly great movie. Deadline is a dark psychological short film. It's premiering in competition at this year's Tribeca Film Festival, and we have the pleasure of chatting with the film's producer-director, Joseph Bakhas, writer-producer Sean McPhillips, and star Norman Reedus. And Joseph and Sean were actually colleagues at Miramax Films before they ventured out to start their own production company called Secret Hideout Films. And so far they've produced 4 short films, including last year's Tribeca premiere of Cupcake. And Norman, of course, he's a great actor. He is one of the most distinctive and intense actors out there. And his previous credits include Mimic, The Boondock Saints, and the sequel to Boondock Saints that we're finally about to see, and he talks a little bit about that. And Blade 2, he has a really impressive career. And Deadline plays this coming Wednesday the 29th, Friday May 1st, and Sunday May 3rd at Tribeca, and you can check tribecafilm.com for showtimes. Here's the crew talking about Deadline. Enjoy, guys. I thought the movie was amazing, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. Oh, it was so good.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it was great. But usually the first question I ask is kind of a getting-to-know-you thing. What was the first film or filmmaker that inspired you to start in the business? Joseph, if you want to start with that.
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. But I guess I'd have to say David Lean.
Wow.
He's a personal favorite of mine, and Milos Forman and Francis Ford Coppola, Scorsese, George Lucas. I mean, the list of talented filmmakers that are inspirational are actually endless. But I think the first film that I saw that said, hey, I'd love to make films was a David Lean film.
You can't get better than that. I mean, they don't make those kinds of movies anymore. Those are terrific. Sean, how about you?
Well, for me, it was a combination of Star Wars was my first film that I was brought to in the movie theater. So it's George Lucas, and my dad was British, so he had me watching Benny Hill. So I have a combination of, big epic sci-fi movies, Spielberg movies, and then British comedies like Blackadder and Monty Python and things like that. And ultimately ended up, when I was a teenager, the things that really turned me on were stuff like A Clockwork Orange. So I always say I have my spin on it is a combination between Star Wars and A Clockwork Orange.
Wow. That's great. I've never heard Benny Hill before. Anytime I've asked that question. That's an original. Norman, how about you?
I think the first actor I ever saw that I really flipped out over was John Voight in Midnight Cowboy. I really loved that movie, and not just like the acting in it, but I like the way the movie is put together, the editing, the music, everything else. I think that character was just kind of hit me.
Yeah. So tell me, Sean and Joseph, you guys were colleagues at Miramax, and you decided to venture out and start your own company called Secret Hideout Films. I'm wondering, Sean, maybe you can speak to this first. What clicked between the two of you?
Well, Joe and I actually met in a kung fu class. I was working at Miramax Films, and Joe was a stock market investor, and he had produced a film for a friend of his. So we actually met inside a kung fu class, and in the midst of doing kung fu, had a conversation about movies and realized we both loved films, and that he had been producing for his friend. And I was like, well, I work at this place. Let's go watch some movies. And that just began a relationship that, that's what we like to do. We just like to go see movies, So ultimately, I gave up that job to pursue creative filmmaking. And in the midst of that, Joe approached me and said, hey, man, instead of doing all these, just writing scripts and all this stuff, why don't you think about doing some shorts? Let's do this together. So I said, oh man, that's a great opportunity. So it really happened as a result of that. But it's all based on kung fu. It's all based on Chinese martial arts.
And Joe, tell me, what is your vision of Secret Hideout Films? What do you want its identity to be?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to be making feature films, and Sean is definitely the creative center of Secret Hideout Films. And, I basically had, made some money in the market and was using that capital to finance our productions. And as far as the type of films that we like to make, basically gritty films, comedy, stuff with edge and stuff that's really original. And I think we've sort of done that with all the projects we've done, on the short side, and we definitely want to, jump into the feature land.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Norman.
Yeah, man.
And Norman, you are wonderful. First of all, let me say I love what you do. Yeah, I think you're a hell of an actor.
Cool, thanks, bro.
And you're terrific in this film. Let me ask you, Sean, what was the genesis of this idea? How did this idea emerge for you for Deadline?
Well, Joe approached me and basically said, I have this concept for a film, and I want you to write the script for it. And he spelled out this situational, scenario where a person had been abused and was tortured by it, and then we sort of find out that he kind of like ultimately in the beginning he killed himself, and then we find out that he's actually back in this place. And so I thought it was a really good idea and just jumped on it, as soon as he told me about it, and really that was the genesis of it. Was Joe was sort of obsessed with this concept, so we just did it.
And Norman, what attracted you to it when you read it?
Well, my manager Kim Callahan at Roar, she sent it to me and said, I think you should do this short. It's really good. And I was like, I don't want to do a fucking short. And then I read it and I was like, wow, this is kind of fucking sick. And I just said, yeah. And then, we got on set. Joe has a very, precise idea of what he wants, to happen. And I don't know, everything just flowed really well. I was really happy I did it. And when I saw the final product, it was even better than I thought it would be. I'm super stoked I did it.
Well, having worked in a lot of features, Norman, I'm wondering, is there a particular challenge to doing a short form film? Well,
I just think I've directed a few shorts, and I just think that if you just have 15 minutes to say something, you should say something. It's like, and I've been a judge at a lot of festivals of shorts. So many of them are sort of like these light romantic comedies that just don't do anything. It's not worth the time. And I just think, they treated this short like it was a feature. It really, it wasn't just like everyone show up, what are we going to shoot? It was like everything was down precise. I was really impressed that it was actually like a feature, It was handled like a feature.
And so I would think one of the challenges would be you have a limited amount of time to convey, just like you're saying, convey an idea. That works for the acting side and the directorial and writing side too, I'm sure. But what did you want to convey with this character? What was the most important thing for you?
Well, when you watch it, we're in when I'm hooked up to the chair, I immediately thought to play that just like freaking the fuck out, just shaking, flipping out, and we did that for a while, and then the next day Joe came and he goes, you know what, just do it quiet, just like move your eyes, and I kind of was like, maybe what if we switched the two back and forth, and it was kind of a great idea, for a second, and then I didn't quite understand what he was doing, and then I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's what he was trying to do, and it was so Kubrick, it was like a Stanley Kubrick moment. It was really kind of cool and quiet, and it made it scarier, It's
haunting. Yeah, it's haunting. Those moments. Yeah.
A really good choice, and I just wanted it to be, you're in the jail cell and you get water thrown on you, you're getting beat up. I just wanted to like really be like a wounded animal, and with the other stuff too, like realizing who's who and having like a little touch of a glorious moment when the girl walks in, the waitress, and it's kind of like add all these elements to it that really fit nicely into a nice little package, a little puzzle.
Yeah, and Joe, as a director, what were the challenges for you, particularly about this project Deadline? Because I've noticed that watching this movie, there's dozens and dozens of little moments and little tells that are so crucial to the story. I would imagine that was very important to you to convey those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say that the biggest challenge, without question, was time. When you're shooting film independently, you're really running on the clock. But I can say that I was really blessed with world-class talent everywhere around me. Starting with a great screenplay that Sean wrote and world-class actors. Norman Reedus, Chris Mulkey, Phyllis Somerville, Sarah Jones. I mean, you don't typically get this caliber of cast for a short film. So a lot of the challenges that I think a lot of other filmmakers are sort of confronted by, I was able to, sort of sidestep just because, again, we had a great script, talent, the actors sort of gravitated towards it. And from there, I mean, we had an unbelievable cinematographer, Luke Geis-Bueller, and a phenomenal production designer, Rick Gilbert. And it was really recreating this world that didn't necessarily exist because we built a lot of those sets. I mean, the lethal injection room, the isolation room, and the bathroom. So insofar as we were doing that, we were creating, this sort of special place for our main character. But again, I'd say the biggest obstacle was just getting our days and getting all the footage that we needed in the allotted time.
Yeah, but even so, you guys shot at practical locations as well, like an actual prison you shot in?
Yeah, we did actually shoot. There were 2 practical locations. The diner and that's where we were. Both the diner and the prison were actually where the clock was really ticking. In the diner's case, we were we're shooting off hours, so we didn't have a lot of money to pay these guys, but they were letting us shoot in the evening, and we had to be out of there by 5 o'clock. So we were really shooting against shooting against the sunrise. Once the sun started to come up, I mean, we were toast. And we were shooting in the summer, so we didn't have a lot to work with there. And then as far as the prison goes, this is a prison out in Nassau County, and they didn't have a production in there. I think the last time they had a production in there, I should say, was about 30 years ago for a film. And they basically said you have like 4 hours in here, and I don't even know why they gave it to us. It was a real lucky sort of scenario where we had a great location scout, and he was very persistent, and they gave us those 4 hours. But again, it's all we needed.
Yeah, and I was so impressed by every element of the movie. The songs that were used, the cinematography is incredible. It's just a wondrous-looking movie. And Sean, tell me about the decision, because this is if I'm not mistaken, your 4th short under Secret Hideout Films. And they've all been 35 millimeter. I would think that would be an intentional decision on your part.
Yeah, well, we did a short film that was more of a sort of black and white thing shot in an apartment that was 60 millimeter. Cupcake was the one that was in Tribeca last year that was 35 millimeter. Deadline was 35 millimeter. And then one after that, The Cubicle, was shot on like a very, very high-end HD format. Okay. And basically, that was mainly a conversation with Joe, being the financier, what format we could afford, who we were going to be working with, and, how we could deal with them to cut their rates and all that type of stuff, and what kind of equipment we could get based on that budget and things like that. So I was probably not super inclusive on that. It wasn't like my decision or anything. I think it was mainly a conversation with Joe and saying what's appropriate for this format. Obviously, for Deadline, it's a very gritty piece. It's it needs to be the contrast and the image needs to be a certain thing. And I think that at one point we were considering digital just for budget's sake, but ultimately this was like a baby. So it was like the kind of thing where, it really, really needs to have that 35 millimeter look, and it definitely was the right choice.
Yeah, majorly. And you mentioned Cupcake at Tribeca last year, and obviously you're at Tribeca this year with Deadline. I want to ask all of you about the film festival experience, how you guys personally experience the film festival experience, and its value to you as creative people. Joe, if you want to start with that.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I can tell you just from, sort of bouncing around other film festivals with Cupcake, Tribeca it's really a top-notch festival, and it's really good to its filmmakers in terms of events and content that they select. So, from last year to this year, they've gotten more competitive, I think, in terms of streamlining the number of films that they're taking. But, I mean, other than that, it's just been a great place to meet other filmmakers, and it is really great momentum for our project. Once a film lands at Tribeca, it's sort of like the rest of the festival circuit takes note of it, and I've seen it already. There have already been a lot of inquiries about Deadline simply based on its acceptance to Tribeca, and I think that says something about the quality and caliber of the festival, that it's sort of a a trendsetter for people to follow.
Yeah. Sean, what do you enjoy most about the film festival experience?
Well, I once at one point worked for Miramax Films, and I worked as an acquisitions person, so I went to all these film festivals, and I was on the other side of the desk for, many, many years, and I always wanted to be on this side, and that first call to say, by the way, Cupcake is in Tribeca, was like one of the best calls I've ever received in my life, and basically it changed our lives because, for example, we had that project, and we really, really wanted it to get into the festival. And when it did, we had this piece of work, and that was the way. That was kind of what we used to talk to casting agents when we were casting for Deadline, and that was the only way that we were able to get something to Norman Reedus to say, here's something that appeared in this festival. So for him to understand that we're not just somebody with a video camera in the backyard, but that we're people who have successfully shot something, built something, and we had it go into a major festival. He's not going to take a meeting and with someone unless well, I'm not speaking for him, but someone of his level is not going to talk to some random people, even if they have a halfway decent script. So it's like, if that just helped us on every level, being in the festival, being able to speak to the casting person, and having them say, hey, meet with this person, and then being able to meet with that person, it opened a couple of doors for us in that way. My former boss, Harvey Weinstein, saw Cupcake. He sent me a message and said he liked it, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Just a great sort of thing, like, wow, he heard about it, And so this time around, getting in and having half the shorts that were in it last year, we felt like doubly honored, but also because this is a narrative and because we have actors of this caliber in the movie this time, and having Norman and Chris and all these people in the film, and having it be more of a narrative piece. Cupcake was more of a sort of musical comedy. It was a kind of a silent film, whereas this is much more bracing for a feature. A lot of people are paying more attention to it at Tribeca, enabling us to be able to go out to agents and go out to people and getting more press, and as a result of the cast and the fact that we're returning filmmakers. So it speaks volumes, and it's actually the best thing that's happened to us in the film world is being a part of this festival. I mean, we've been doing lots of other festivals, but this one is the one that's sort of like you're screening at real venues. They're taking care of you. It's really a great festival.
Yeah, the filmmaker-friendly festivals are amazing. And Norman, I'm sure that you've attended many festivals. I'm assuming with your tremendous career. Tell me about the interaction with the actual moviegoers. Is that enjoyable to you?
Yeah, it's always enjoyable. It's you're always appreciative when somebody likes what you do. I have been to a lot of film festivals for a long time now, and they're all good. But even the tiniest of them are fun. But when you actually meet the people that are the audience, it's really nice when they like your stuff, for sure.
This is a terrific film, and it's in competition this year at Tribeca, and I know it's a big favorite, and it deserves to be. Before I let you guys go, let me ask about future projects. Norman, I know you have several movies in the pipeline that are awaiting release. Can you tell me a little bit about some of those?
Yeah, I have a film called Pandora, shot by Christian Albert. It's a sci-fi movie. It's with Ben Foster and Dennis Quaid. And then I have the sequel to The Boondock Saints, All Saints Day, coming out, which we just wrapped. I actually left the set of Deadline and went and shot both those simultaneously. And they just finished the film in Bulgaria right before that, so I was a little out of it a lot of the times, but they kept me in check. And then I have a feature film with Donald Sutherland cast so far called When September Ends that I'm doing with my production company Big Bald Head and my partner Karen Cohen out of Los Angeles, and I'll be directing that one.
Wow! This is that's exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And Sean and Joe, whoever would like to speak to this, you obviously want to get into feature filmmaking with your company. What are the prospects there? What are some future projects that you guys are eyeballing?
Well, we went to a meeting once where Harvey Weinstein was just like speaking in an audience, and he's just like, pick up the pen, So we ultimately had been writing a bunch of stuff this year, and so when we finished the last short, we just went into sort of hibernation writing mode. We've got kind of a horror adventure that has one draft in it that we're doing another draft of. We have a psychological comedy that has 3 drafts on it. We've got we shot a trailer for something that we hope to expand into a feature that we were in development on. So like there's sort of no end to the ideas, and we're currently developing like several feature screenplays. But we love all formats. We have ideas for television. We love webisodes. I mean, I honestly think we love everything. We want to work in all formats. So right now it's just a matter of after this festival and the grind that we're dealing with the festival and all the sort of talking to press and talking to agents, talking to all these people, just alight on a couple of projects that move us further in the direction of being able to raise the kind of financing or interest in our feature projects that we really want to put together. So that's our plan.
Well, you guys are incredible, and you've made an incredible film with Deadline, and I wish you guys the best of luck, and I thank you so much, all of you, for doing this with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very pleasurable. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.